Greetings all, this is Hairy Nick.
And this is a less hairy Justin.
Welcome back to the Hangar Bay, our weekly show where we talk about your submitted X-Wing lists.
Yes, and this week we're going a bit scummy.
Going a bit scummy today, we have polled the patrons and they have decided that the first faction in this 8-week rotation, but the second week is the first faction. The first faction is going to be Scum.
Yep.
And we're going to sort of alternate between the original 3 factions and the new ones as we go, like sort of big, small, as we go through this. And today we're going to talk about the Shadowcaster, the Lancer Pursuit Craft.
Yeah, now this was one of your favourite ships back in the day.
Yes, it still kind of is, but it's not as powerful as it used to be. Yes, the Shadowcaster is the title of the ship. The Lancer Pursuit Craft is the Pursuit Class Craft. Lancer Class Pursuit Craft. That is a word salad. And that's why we generally say Shadowcaster. Flown by Ketsu Onyo in the Rebels TV show. And there's sort of an implied guild of bounty hunters, which also involve Latz Razzie and in turn Asajj Ventress, who was in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, well, Asajj flew something similar-ish in something. I can't remember what, but it was purple.
She had various Separatist ships throughout the Clone Wars. Of course, she left the Separatists because of
reasons.
Not having the best of agreements with Count Dooku. No, she actually had a Lancer. She had the Banshee. Technically, I guess, in Legends or old EU, it never really made it into any visual medium. It never made it into the Clone Wars TV show. But now Banshee is actually represented in the art of the Asajj Ventress pilot card.
Yeah, now that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. She used to just have the Shadowcaster art in her old card, and which didn't really make any sense because I don't think there's ever any lore of her using Shadowcaster at all, or a generic version of this. Yes, so this is a typical bounty hunter ship with a lot of sort of toolbox utility. It has a rotating tractor beam on the top, and in first edition, it was the first ship to have a mobile arc. For those of you who have only played second edition, this is the original design. When FFG moved into second edition, they took turrets and they made it like the Shadowcaster turret.
Which was a smart move.
A very smart move. It was an excellent design back in the first edition. I think everyone agreed it was basically, it felt like a fairer turret. Although in first edition, it wasn't strictly functioning like a turret because there were cards like auto thrusters. And it actually negated auto thrusters where turrets didn't. Because it wasn't out of arc if you were moving your mobile firing arc. But we don't have any out-of-arc shots anymore, and the game is much better for it, so don't worry about that. It's just a really, really solid design where you have to physically use an action to move your turret around. Now, in first edition, the mobile arc shot, indeed, its front primary or mobile arc shot all had 3 red dice.
Okay, so it's had a bit of a nerf because
it's had a significant nerf for a few reasons, this being one of them.
Because the mobile arc is now only a 2.
Yes, that's right. In first edition, a ship that had dual arcs or a mobile arc and a regular arc, they always all had the same primary value. There were no separate primary attacks in first edition, which is another great quality of life change for second edition. It means there can be a bit more finite tuning on some of these ship designs. Apart from that, it's all pretty much the same as it used to be. 2 green dice, 8 hull and 2 shields. Used to be 7 and 3.
Okay, well, they started changing to add more hull.
Yeah, make crits more relevant. That makes the most sense. And it's not really a huge difference between 7 and 3, if we're to be honest. It has 10 hit points, and that's the main thing. Its action bar is focus, evade, target lock, and rotate turret. And just the same as it was in first edition, actually, yeah.
Okay. And its upgrades are crew, 2 illicits, 1 modification, and the title.
Yes, and the title's another interesting part of this ship as well, because it allows you to deliver a tractor token onto your opponent's ship after you perform an attack. It's any attack, but currently that's only primary. There's no upgrade card currently that gives it any secondary or non-primary attack, or whatever they want to call them now anyway. And basically, if that attack occurs inside the mobile arc and inside the forward arc, if the defender is in those, so it doesn't have to be a forward arc attack. It can be a mobile arc that's pointing sideways, but if it happens to overlap the front as well, look, most of the time it's overlapping the front and you shoot at the front. But there is fringe scenarios where it does work out the side as well. The defender gains tractor token. That's really, really powerful because most effects that require you to give your opponent a tractor token require you to sacrifice an entire attack, like with tractor beam. You have to perform an attack. If it hits, they get tracted. But this is, you perform an attack, they get hit, they suffer damage, and they get tracted, which is really, really good. This and the quad jumper are like the two primary ships that are the best and most efficient at tractoring, and they're both on the Scum faction because that's really what the faction is all about. Nasty tricks, nasty tricks. This is one of the nicest ship for nasty, nasty tricks. Also, in terms of our pilots, we have the only pilot that is not in a traditional dark side faction that has dark side upgrades in Asajj Ventress.
Now, Asajj Ventress does have 2 force, which is pretty normal for...
It's average, yeah. I mean, she's not this legendary dark side user by any stretch of the imagination. They were never going to give her 3. Awkward thing about the Scum faction is we have the card Maul. It allows any Scum ship with a force upgrade access to dark side upgrades. Unfortunately, the only pilot that can take advantage of that already has access to dark side upgrades. And
feels a bit...
the rest of Maul's text is really not worth his buy-in cost. So hopefully there's some kind of relevance with this later on. It's just not going to be the Shadowcaster. Yes, with all that said, it's a great ship for stress control because of Asajj's ability. We'll go through that in a second. It's a great ship for tractor control. Again, the Shadowcaster, but it also works great with Ketsu Onyo's ability. Let's just dive into these lists and talk more about that. If you would like to submit a list for us to have a look at in one of these Hangar Bay episodes, simply copy all of the text, including all pilots and upgrades, into a comment down below in one of our YouTube videos. Please also be sure to include a link to that squad within your favourite squad builder. Now, if you're unsure how to do this, simply head over to Yet Another Squad Builder 2.0. They have a fantastic squad builder built into this website. You have drop-down menus that can help you find all the upgrades and everything that's legal for the ships that you want to build with, as well as a simple text viewer that you can use to copy out all the text. And if you're part of the Patreon Discord, put all of this into the relevant list submission channel on that. Every week here, we are sure to include one patron list, so if you're part of the Patreon Discord, it means you have a much higher chance of being featured in one of these videos. First of all, we have a patron submitted list by PsychJ7, which I've actually flown against.
This is called Stress Knights. It has Asajj Ventress, Hound Solo, and L337 on the Escape Craft.
Yep, Asajj has Heightened Perception, 000, and Shadowcaster.
Han Solo has Trickshot, Perceptive Co-Pilot, Lando Calrissian, BT-1, and Lando's Millennium Falcon title.
And L337 is just L337, which is fine. I mean, that's what L337 usually does. You can chuck on a Tactical Officer there if you really want to, if you want to cut into that bid. Totally up to you. I think it's a pretty decent investment most of the time. But
Now, you've said you versed this list. How did you think it fared?
Pretty well. I actually quite like it. It's the kind of thing I'd like to try. Look, honestly, I think the Scum Falcon is a really tricky ship to get working. It sucks when it doesn't get 3 dice off. This Han can actually get even more than that because of Han's ability. He's able to roll 1 additional dice. Trickshot gets him another one. So he can roll about 5 or 6 at range 1 if you get the Magical Christmas Land scenario working. I will say that did happen. That did happen. So it's not that absurd.
Yeah. Damn.
I like all the redundant extra dice effects on Han. I feel like that makes the ship usable.
Yeah.
My concerns with it are always its consistency. You get 1 shot off with 2 dice, and it just feels bad. It's a big investment for such a weak attack.
Yeah, but Han Solo, he loves his trick shot.
Absolutely. He also loves to fly alongside Asajj because she can help him out with stress control. Her ability reads, at the start of the engagement phase, you may choose 1 enemy ship inside your mobile arc at range 0 to 2 and spend a force. If you do, that ship gains a stress token unless it removes a green token. It's pretty decent.
The fact that it's got range 0 to 2 and not just 0 to 1, that is huge.
Yes. Same as it was in the first edition. You have to spend a force, but look, people sort of compare first edition abilities to second edition abilities and say, oh, you got to spend a force, so it's worse. The fact that you also have the force token to spend on on dice mods as a redundant effect if you don't use this is fantastic. She's actually better than she was in first edition, looking purely at the pilot ability anyway. And yes, also with 000, gives your opponent enemy ship at range 0 to 1. You elect that ship at the start of the engagement phase, and they can allow you to take a calculate token unless they take a stress token. So you can stack it on.
Yeah, that's a really clever idea there.
Indeed. Also, Han's got BT1. So this is a very big combo kind of list. BT1 allows you to capitalize on every single stress token against a ship that Han shoots by mangler cannoning those dice results, turning hits into crits.
Yeah, and then you've got Perceptive Copilot working with Lando Calrissian there.
Yes, indeed we do. So Perceptive Copilot can give you 2 focus tokens, which is already very powerful. But Lando can spend a green token anytime you roll dice. Yep, anytime you roll dice to re-roll 2 of your results, which is great if you blank out.
Yeah.
Really, really solid. After you roll dice, so it's only a one-off every time you roll dice, but that's still really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks if you pick up 6 red dice, roll them, and get 6 blanks. You can't do much about that, but still.
Yeah. But you can hopefully at least get 1 hit out of it.
Yeah, if you get 2 blanks and re-roll both, it's not like. And if you re-roll them into focus, you will have another focus because of Perceptive Copilot.
So you were saying earlier, rather than just using Perceptive Copilot, you could also use IG-88D?
Indeed. Now, IG-88D is strictly worse than Perceptive Copilot because he gives you 2 calculate tokens instead of 2 focus tokens because you take the calculate action, gain another token. It's like a worse version of Perceptive Copilot. However, I would argue he's not half as worse. He's pretty close in terms of power level.
The fact that he's 4 points and the calculator is still a green token means Lando can use them as well.
Exactly. As far as Lando is concerned, the token's just as good, which actually means that those 2 crew are actually very close in power level. And I'd consider taking that as an option in any case. And that actually saves you 4 points, which gives you a much bigger bid. Also, if you were looking to invest more points, I would look very seriously at the Outer Rim Pioneer on the Escape Craft, which reads, friendly ships at range 0 to 1 can perform attacks at range 0 of obstacles. Han quite likes that.
Yeah, I think most people would like that.
Indeed, even with Asajj, because she can fly so aggressively with those big 3-speed maneuvers, she sometimes just wants to go over rocks to get positions.
Yeah.
And if you can negate the downside of being on a rock by still shooting on it, I mean, you've got a lot of hull and shield to burn. You can fly through. It's worth getting the position sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've all been there, or maybe I'm just a moronic flyer. You sometimes have to fly through a rock to get the right position. Okay, you're an Imperial player, so maybe you don't want to do that as much.
Not as much, not with my...
Little tiny hull values and that kind of stuff. I fly big manly scum ships that can take rocks.
They're just like, what rock?
Indeed, and this further enables that. L3 is really, really good, giving Han... blue banks, that's really annoying to say, when he loses his shields is really, really good. But while it's on Han, it means that Han himself, because it does say range 0, yes it does, can perform attacks while on a rock. That means he's likely to activate Trick Shot and his ability and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it becomes a bit more magical Christmas land.
Yeah, well, a bit more of a realistic. Because you've not included anything like Kira in this list, you have a lot of payoffs but not a lot of setup cards. I really like Kira. I would consider thinking about trying to put Kira on this list, but then you don't have Perceptive Copilot, Lando, that kind of combo.
Can you put Kira on the Escape Craft?
You could put Kira on the Escape Craft, but it's that ship which is ignoring the rock. You really want it on Han. You really want Kira on Han, yeah. One of those things. Nevertheless, I really love the concept with this. The Asajj and Scum Falcon combo is very, very interesting to me. I'd like to see more of it. I'd like to see it do well. It might just be a case of shuffling around the points and that kind of thing.
Yeah, now we are getting a points change at the end of June.
Oh, yes. Now, when we polled the patrons as to what ships we want to talk about, we mainly were talking about in the comments of that the Lancer, the Skurg, and the Kimagila, which are now on the short list for the next couple of Scum videos as well. All of those are in the conversation for a points reduction, and just based on the feedback I got from the patrons, I think we can make an argument that the Lancer most so. Because it's really, really cool, and it took a pretty heavy nerf moving into second edition, and that's okay because, yes, it was busted in first edition, I understand. But taking a red dice off the mobile arc, getting rid of gyroscopic targeting, these are things that the Lancer did not want. It was a pretty big hit. It is cheaper already, but yes, I completely agree with that. And especially things like this. Like, this is like one of the more tier things I think that this ship could do. Could being the operative word. It relies on the Falcon doing well as well. The Falcon seen a bit meta play, again with Han, so I'm really...
Maybe one day.
I want it to work. Let's move on to our next list, though.
This is by Steve Kazir, and this list is called Vipers and Shadows.
Absolutely. We have a couple of Star Vipers, a Dalen Oberos, Black Sun Assassin, and Sabine in the Lancer this time.
Now, Dalen Oberos has Outmaneuver and Shield Upgrade.
The Black Sun Assassin just has Outmaneuver.
And Sabine Wren has Trickshot, Boba Fett, Tactical Scrambler, and the Shadowcaster title.
Now, we're using Star Vipers as a way to back up this Shadowcaster build. And Sabine's a bit interesting. While you defend, if the attacker's in your mobile firing arc at range 0 to 2, you may add 1 focus result to your dice results.
Ooh.
It's decent. Now, there's no way to really abuse this. There was in first edition with the card Glitterstim. In fact, no, that wasn't the only thing. I think there was also like Recon Spec, which is now Perceptive Copilot, which we don't have in this build. Other ways to sort of cheat on your focus conversions, which we haven't done here. We're focused instead on things like Trick Shot, Tactical Scrambler, Boba Fett, Shadowcaster. I actually like all of these things.
See, I'm not 100% sold on Tactical Scrambler.
No? Oh, that's fair enough.
I understand what you're doing with it. You're trying to use the Shadowcaster to block. But at the same time, like, if Dalen Oberos has full health and Sabine Wren has not a lot of health...
Yes.
Why would you be shooting...
In most scenarios where you could shoot both, you'd probably just shoot Sabine. I completely understand. Yeah. Unless you got, like, ordnance involved, in which case I can see, like, trying to ignore... It has value, but I agree, maybe not the most value. The most points is on Sabine, not Dalen, so it's not like you're shooting the points cowering like that. But I do still like it from the point of view that this upgrade and every other upgrade on the build are all passive. They don't require any actions. They don't require you to do anything, which is actually pretty decent with Sabine because she wants you to take focus actions.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I see where you're coming from. It's just that I'm thinking if you lose Tactical Scrambler and you lose Shield Upgrade, you could then put Advanced Sensors on Dalen Oberos.
That is indeed a thing you could do. Advanced Sensors costs 10 points exactly. So that is a pretty straight trade. Yes, I would agree with that. Look, I know we sound like a broken record, but I don't love shield upgrades, especially on sort of ace platforms. I know the Star Viper is a weird kind of design and not strictly an ace, but it's very much in the business of just not getting shot.
Yeah.
Big time. So shield upgrade, if you're getting hit, you're getting hit. It's just going to shoot through, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's interesting on some builds, but I don't really think it has much of a place here. And you're exactly right. Advanced Sensors is the kind of card that can just further its capability to do its Star Viper-like shenanigans. It can do curve barrel rolls before you activate, or rather before you move, and that's just really, really good. It's really, really solid. You can also think about things like fire control system. It's not completely out of the question. You could put fire control system on both Star Vipers if you want more aggressive builds. The more quickly they blow up their opponent's ship, the less likely they are to get shot back. So
it's good logic.
It's good, and it's a steal at 3 points as well. It is still 3 points, isn't it?
It's 2.
It's 2 points. Okay, I have to learn the points as they change. Oh, man, this is getting fun. Advanced Sensors for 10 points. My criticism of this on the Star Viper, and I have flown this quite a lot with Guri, is yes, it's great with those boosts and barrel roll, but it doesn't give you any more tokens. And I'm finding more and more in second edition that getting tokens, shoring up those dice, is actually becoming more and more important than positioning.
Yeah.
because you can just get caught out by one ship and that's it. Like, you can't factor in like 5 of your opponent's ships if they have like a Leia swarm or something like that.
That's true.
Star Vipers against Princess Leia is so rough. So from that point of view, I might think about something like fire control system, but I agree. Like, shield upgrade, I'm not a fan of it here. Not a fan of it here.
What you could do, because you've also got Boba Fett there, and realistically, he's just using for the setup.
Yes.
If you lose him as well, you could maybe put Maul on. I know that we were saying that Maul doesn't always work really well.
No.
But having Maul on there gives you the Force token, and then you can use the Force and your focus abilities more effectively.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, because from this point of view, Sabine adds the extra focus results. If you didn't roll any other focus results, it means you always have that converted for free. It's almost as if when you defend or perform an attack inside your mobile firing arc range 0 to 2, instead of adding a focus result, you're adding a hit or evade.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting idea as well. I like Sabine a lot. I think the ability is really, really cool. I feel like there does need to be some kind of combo to really make it competitive.
Like, if Maul was just a couple of points less, I
if
think it would
Maul
work
was a bit
better.
cheaper, if Perceptive Co-Pilot... No, actually, you can Perceptive Co-Pilot in this build. What am I saying? You just cut Shield Upgrade and switch Boba Fett for Perceptive Co-Pilot.
Yeah.
That's worth thinking about for sure, yeah. IG-88D, again, seems all right, for sure, yeah. Like, nothing we're talking about feels utterly busted. Oddly enough, when Sabine Wren did have all the dumb combos in first edition, she still wasn't busted. So it's a pilot that I'm curious about. I want to see what FFG do with it. In fact, in terms of not so much just Sabine, although Sabine's in the conversation, but with Asajj, I feel like they broke all the fun combos that Asajj has. She's not so good with Shadowcaster anymore. Her stress control doesn't work. The Shadowcast title only works when it's overlapping the front arc, which sucks because she doesn't want to do that. She wants to move it around and stress control in all kinds of directions. I feel like when this ship does get released in second edition, it might have a Banshee title. And I feel like FFG putting the Banshee in Asajj's art is a way of hinting that that's going to happen.
That's a good idea.
I'm thinking that. And I'm also thinking a Lats Razzie pilot, which is similar to her pilot on the YV666.
That'd be nice.
And it might have like a gyroscopic targeting type thing. Maybe I'm a bit too nostalgic for the broken stuff. But that's the kind of thing I'm thinking. And I look at Sabine and I think the same thing. Like, if there was an efficient way of utilising that arc, which would not be a broken combo with Ketsu, because Ketsu works great with Shadowcaster already, you could have 2 different design directions for the Shadowcaster.
Well, what you could maybe do is put a gunner on there.
Yes.
On everything except Ketsu.
Yes, that is a possibility. I don't love doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It adds complexity, but it's something you could do.
Yeah, we are just starting to become a bit more complex these days.
Maybe Banshee will add gunner. Maybe it just could be that simple.
Could be.
And then we get like a Lats Razzie gunner and a Sabine gunner and FFG, let's get that pack. I really want to see that pack. I'm so excited. So many things to talk about. Let's move on to list number 3. This is Anger Management by Michael Buckley.
This has Ketsu Onyo, Old Terok, and Talonbane Cobra.
Ketsu has Fearless, Forlom, Deadman Switch, Electronic Baffle, and Shadowcaster.
Old Terok has Fearless.
As does Talonbane Cobra alongside Deadman Switch. Deadman Switch. Things going to go bang. Yes.
Yeah. We're both not fans of those.
This is a real Timmy card right here.
Yeah.
This is the thing that gets people really, really excited.
See, it doesn't even get me excited because I just sit there going, but if I blow up, I'm not winning.
That is a good point. That's a good point, and that's probably a bit more of a Spike mentality coming out of you.
Yeah.
But it's really, really cool. Look, with Deadman Switch, yes, you can fly it into your opponent's swarm and do a lot of damage. The fundamental issue with Deadman Switch, and I and other content creators have already pointed this out. I know Dion from Gold Squadron has already made a video on this kind of thing. This kind of design is problematic because it relies on your ship blowing up, which, as you said, means that you're losing. Probably, or at least you're in a state of the game where you're losing ground. It doesn't. You might still be winning, arguably, from that point. But also, this is an effect that your opponent 99.9% of the time has in the entire control over.
Yeah.
You don't get to choose when your ships blow up. Your opponent does.
And they're going to sit there going, I'm going to stay back a little bit. I might shoot at range 2, range 3.
Now, look, it might, and I stress might, make your opponent not shoot your ship in the right scenario. I think most times you would just take a point of damage if you were facing down a dead man switch ship range 1, if it meant taking them off the board. Especially on Ketsu and Talonbane Cobra, you're not just going to ignore them. Dead man switch has a bit more value on crappier pilots because they're more disposable. It's a worse trade for your opponent if they are doing that damage exchange. But on Ketsu and Talonbane, it's very scary.
Yeah.
It's very, very scary.
Yeah, well, Talonbane's basically a quarter of your list right there.
Yeah, he is. 55 points. Yeah, exactly. So look, I definitely would look at cutting them. It's a fun casual card to play around with. I'm not saying you definitely can't do it and just have fun at your LGS on a casual night. But if you want to get tournament results, it's got to go. It's just as simple as that.
If we lose Dead Man Switch, Electronic Baffle, we could possibly put a missile on?
Yeah, we could do a few little things here. We could put a torp on Old Terok. I don't think we should.
No.
We could put a missile on Talonbane. Again.
If we get a cheap torpedo. A nice cheap one.
Plasma torpedoes, I'm looking at you. Also, cluster missiles does combo with Talonbane Cobra now. That is a slight advantage he has over his first edition self. So that is something worth thinking about, I suppose. And look, I think probably putting a missile on Talonbane is not too much of an opportunity cost, especially cluster missiles. Doesn't cost too much. Yeah. A torpedo on a Fang fighter, I'm a bit more trepidatious about. I think that it really affects the way you fly on an already very fragile ship.
Yeah, so you're all of a sudden going, okay, don't shoot me.
Don't shoot me, just be careful. Oh, I might get the torpedo off. Oh, target lock. Oh, no, I don't have my focus token, I'm dead. Yeah. So you got to be careful with the way you do that. It is initiative 5, so that's not crazy. You can take a ship off the board before they have a chance to shoot back.
And that is something quickly as well. All of these 3 pilots are at initiative 5, so Ketsu can use her tractor tokens to make the ships a bit easier to hit.
Yes, if they move into arc. Basically, this is the best kind of list for Shadowcaster and Ketsu's ability using the tractor token because you get to choose the order of all 3 of your ships. And sometimes you want to shoot Ketsu last or first because, say, a ship is inside the arc of all of your ships. You can shoot them Old Terok, Talonbane Cobra, Ketsu, and then barrel roll them away so it can't shoot you back. Or it's not in the arc of all your ships. You shoot it with Ketsu first, roll it into the arc of your other ships, and then shoot them with the other one. And because of the way initiative and the first player system works, you activate all of these in a row. There's nothing interrupts it, which is really cool. I used to do this a lot with Asajj Ventress and Boba Fett. I ran Veteran Instincts on Asajj Ventress, so I could manipulate ships for Boba Fett to shoot with a Fearless Range 1 reroll.
Feels good.
It feels really good. It feels really good if you can make it work. So yes, I'd look at redundant cards like Dead Man's Switch. I like Forlom. I like Fearless. That's fun. Yeah. Now, Fearless only works at the front arc now, but it's Ketsu on you. It doesn't matter. You're going to have it overlapped regardless, so that's okay. Obviously, a strong card on Old Terok and Talonbane. Yeah, I totally get that. Fearless not seeing a whole heap of meta play right now, so it might even be primed for a point reduction down to 2 points. That is possible.
Oh.
Indeed. And there's what we're saying essentially is there's flexibility on this list.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff we can be doing. I don't think Talonbane Cobra's there in terms of power level. Click the link up there, wherever it is, Junkyard, talking all about the Kuros fighter. If you want to learn more about the Kuros fighter and why it's struggling right now, please go to that video and we'll explain it at a bit more length because that is a massive discussion for this one. And it's just pieces of the puzzle like that that could make something like this viable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd look at this with Ketsu and I just think, that's something that could make Ketsu work if just everything's firing on all cylinders. Looks cool. Really dig that one. All right, the last list we're going to have a look at today is by, I'm sorry if I mispronounce this, Maurice Iwanowski. And this has Ketsu Onyo, a Sage Ventress, and an Outer Rim Pioneer in an escape craft.
Ketsu Onyo has Trick Shot and 000.
Asajj has Heightened Perception, Lats, Razzie, and Shadowcaster.
And the Outer Rim Pioneer has Tactical Officer.
Cool. Now, this I like a lot. This is a lot of power on the board.
So, this, we're basically dropping Han for another Shadowcaster.
Yeah. It's a big bruising ship.
Yeah.
You've got Ketsu Onyo on one platform and Shadowcaster on another, so you've got two different things that can tractor, which is cool. I mean, with Ketsu and Shadowcaster on the same platform, you can do it twice in one attack, which is kind of cool. I mean, yeah. Whatever. We also have the Old Time Walk Asajj combo. Now, I find this very interesting because I talk about Time Walk Asajj with X-Wing players, and you guys don't actually know the origin of that story, but you do.
Yeah.
Because you play Magic the Gathering.
I do.
Okay, so Time Walk is a busted old Magic the Gathering card which let you take an extra turn for 2 mana. Basically, it negated an entire round of what your opponent wanted to do.
Let's just be fair. Most cards these days that say cost an extra turn now cost 5. So 2 is just busted.
It was busted. And the whole idea with Asajj in first edition, the whole Time Walk idea was you would ultra efficiently just negate everything your opponent was doing, so they essentially were taking a turn off. That's why it's called Time Walk. And that's really, really cool. And Lats Razzie now on Asajj is not as powerful, but essentially does the same thing. While you defend, if the attacker is stressed, you may remove 1 stress from the attacker to change one of your blank or focus results to an evade result. Now, you're not adding an evade result like you used to, but let's be frank, nothing is in second edition anymore. Except for the Handmaidens on the N1,
Nora on either the Y-Wing or the R.
It's very rare, in other words. And even with the Handmaidens, it has to be on the N1. They're very, very careful with that kind of effect. So yeah, you can't garner any more results than your 2 green dice. It's a maximum of 2 evade results, which honestly is worse because you can't negate a 3 red dice attack. I mean, we're talking about a transfer to first, second edition. Yeah, it's a lot fairer. The law has come to the West. Asajj is not what she used to be. But it's still a really cool ability.
Yeah, I like it. It's still good, and you've got Heightened Perception so that you can shoot at Initiative 7 as well, so you're always feeling good.
Yep, absolutely. Also, 000 on Ketsu means that she has a bit of stress control as well.
Yeah, it's
so
like
the stress and tractor is on both platforms.
I like that. So that then both of them can, gang up on one ship and take it down.
That's right. And I'm always careful whenever we have those kind of combos across ships because it means when one of them blows up, the other one loses value. But I would say, having said that, 000 and Lats Razzie on these platforms are still good cards, even if you ignore all of that. Being followed around by Outer Rim Pioneer. I love that. That's so good. The meta thing to do these days seems to be L3. The reason we brought up Outer Rim Pioneer in that last list is because it specifically combos with Han. It doesn't combo with anything right now. Who cares? You've got points to spare. Do it.
Yeah, I think L3 is not going to give you any more abilities. However, Outer Rim is going to. So you might as well take the thing that's going to give you an ability. Oh,
but I stand corrected, by the way. Trick Shot is on Ketsu Onyo, so that sort of helps because you shoot on a rock, you're very likely to shoot through a rock. And also, like Tactical Officer, upgrading L3 to Outer Rim Pioneer. These are things you can do just to upgrade the Escape Craft package to be something a bit more potent. It's not a huge investment. It's 2 points for the pilots and 2 points for the Tactical Officer. It's really good. It turns out that just giving out a lot of coordinate actions and following the big ships around is really good.
Who would have thought that?
It's
just outrageous, isn't it?
This Scum Millennium Falcon pack has given FFG a lot of headaches. Yeah. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Actually, we were talking last week about the costing of the Resistance transport. Maybe with this next points change, the cat will be out of the bag and they'll start costing coordinate ships a bit more highly and the Resistance transport will be more expensive as a result of that.
Honestly, I kind of hope that they keep it at a relative small amount. It means other people get to enjoy these ships and means I'm having fun.
That's a good point.
When I'm playing against someone else.
Yeah, I mean, Scum doesn't really have a lot going for it right now, but hopefully that's all about to change. And we just get some more efficient and fair options. Like, I'm not saying we need to bust anything wide open, but yeah, just a few things just a little bit too overcosted. Indeed, and yeah, things coming to the game and resistant transport's just going to make it more diverse and more interesting. And yes, Maurice, I hope I pronounced it correctly, looks really, really cool. I like 2 Shadowcasters. I'm hoping we get some more efficient costings. Hopefully these come down in cost and you can invest more points and not have to like builds. I think.
Yeah. Or just keep the points for a nice initiative bid.
Yep, absolutely. All really good things. Look, I think in all seriousness, guys, I'm going to make a prediction right now. When these points do come out in a few weeks, watch out for the Shadowcaster. I think it could be a serious contender on the Scum faction. FFG were right to be conservative with this ship. I'm not arguing with their choice on that whatsoever. Asajj, Nim, Asajj, Dengar lists, they were fun. They were fun, but it's a thing of the past now.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Reddit, and please consider supporting the Patreon as well. This is the thing that's really pushing this channel forward. Yeah. We love patrons. You guys are awesome, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Bye.